In life, I always aim to be ahead of the game. So prematurely, I want to congratulate Scott Parker as manager of FC Barcelona in 2026. Sorry, that's how it works, right? Let's talk about Burnley. And as your local neighborhood Burnley fan, probably the only one that you know on this platform, let's talk about what's going on. As of recording, Burnley have only played 2 games, however top of the league with 9 goals scored and 1 goal conceded. Vincent Kompany, despite giving Burnley statistically the worst season in our entire history, the lowest points total ever, was appointed as FC Bayern Munich manager. Now, I don't know what that really means, because in terms of everything we can gather, Kompany wants to play some attractive football, and he tried to play a style of football that just was not possible with the players that he built. Now, if he tried to play that style of football with players that are above the level for most of the league, would it work out well? Potentially. And that is why I can somewhat get the Bayern Munich appointment. But at the same time, I also don't get the Bayern Munich appointment. Comment down below your thoughts on Burnley and for the season ahead, and potentially the issue between the Premier League and the Championship and the overriding gap that it's building. Like, subscribe, and Mozilla Designs for the best football prints, ton of Burnley prints as well. Use code BFC for 15% off. Scott Parker. Now, for many people, that's from the outside looking in. You look at the resume, 2 seasons in Championship, 2 promotions with Fulham and Bournemouth, 2 clubs that were also up there as one of the favourites to get promoted. Well, it seemed like a sure thing appointment. Well, according to a lot of Fulham, Bournemouth fans and other fans from other clubs, they weren't really too confident on Scott Parker, and not a single day goes by without a Bournemouth fan reminding me of that. Burnley Football Club are vastly different to the old 4-4-2 Brexit Sean Dyche team that you used to know and love a couple of years ago. It could not be any further away from that. For example, Burnley Football Club has as many Brazilians starting for Burnley than we do English players. Imagine saying that when we had Sean Dyche. Now, of course, this is not to discredit Sean Dyche. I put almost all of our success in the last decade all thanks to him. We would not be in a situation without him. We would not be reaching the financial rewards and at this moment in time, as you can clearly see, advantages than what we would have without him. All those years in the Premier League allowed us to rebuild our club from within, including a brand new training ground, and to really build the foundations of the football club. Keep in mind, back in 2020, Burnley Football Club signed Dale Stephens and a goalkeeper for £900,000 over a transfer window. Burnley, not long ago, spent not even £1 million in a window, and we still stayed up with pretty much the same team that we had for about 5 years. But that's just Sean Dyche. What's happening now? Well, with the departure of Vincent Kompany, a lot of questions were to ask of who would want to stay at Burnley. Many players who were brought in were under the idea that they were here because of Vincent Kompany. This isn't just guesswork. The vast majority said so in their interviews, which led to some concerns. Our transfer recruitment last season was a blessing and a curse. The curse was obviously that bringing in a lot of young players with potential, it means that they may not be ready and good enough at the level of the Premier League to play the style of football that were being asked of them. But the blessing is, even if they show any glimpse of any talent, which they did at times, that you can still try to get back and then some the value of your investment. Wilson Odobert, for example, was one of these players, brought in for £12 million from France Troyes and was sold to Spurs for around £13 million. 1 season Premier League, triple your money. Decent. And if you look at the squad of Burnley, it's still quite large. We've only really sold 2 first-team players in Muric, who wasn't really played too much last year and was heavily criticised by the fans of Vincent Kompany of why he was locked out. And of course, Odobert, other players that's gone or players that was kind of expected to leave anyway and were bit part players. Burnley still has a lot of those players that you'd expect could maybe be moving on. However, because of our start, the hope would be that a year in the Championship could be good for the development development and maybe a bit of fun, maybe for some, to stay and have the best chance of being back in the Premier League. These players are the likes of James Trafford, Zeki Amdouni, Luca Koleosho, Sander Berg, Dara O'Shea, Esteve, and many more. Each player just named realistically have got a value of at least £20 million. So if they go, people will have to pay. And on top of that, players that you would think would have no chance of being here are somehow still here. Wout Weghorst, who not only is still here, but is actively playing in matches. Now, could he still be here at the end of the window? I would be stunned, but as a football romantic, I would love nothing more than to see a redemption arc. A beautiful story of a player that was once brought in to be the saviour, at one stage booed out the club, to then come back and to have a campaign in Championship against all the expectations of him even being here. I would love that, and I think I deserve. In terms of Scott Parker's style of football, I'm not going to bore you. However, his style of football is one which is slightly different to Kompany's, and it looks like it's been bedded in quite fast. A 4-1 win and a 5-0 win. And our next couple of games is quite key. Sunderland away is always a tough game to go to. Then we got the derby of Blackburn at home. That would be a massive test of character. Leeds away is also huge as well. And if we can come out unscathed with 2 wins and a draw, or just to not lose a single game, then that would be a massive, massive statement. Is that possible? It could be a big ask. He's only just got into the job. You can't expect perfection immediately. Kompany at Burnley, it took him 3 months to really get his style of football in play. And when it clicked, it was absolutely beautiful. And same thing could happen again here. The term yo-yo club is going to be thrown around a lot here, with Burnley going to be entering a beautiful club of yo-yo clubs to enter into the Norwich's and the Fulhams and the Watfords, etc. And honestly, I don't mind. If we can somehow win the league but still stay in it, I would absolutely love that. Issue is money is going to be a massive problem, so that won't be possible. Because of parachute payments and the clubs that come down, they've got such a massive advantage in terms of the money that they can spend. Most clubs in the league are not spending millions of pounds and relying on frees and loan signings for most clubs, and that is an issue. And that is a conversation that we can maybe have on another day. For Burnley to sub on Zeki Amdouni, who at one stage was a really highly rated talent only a year ago, most goals for Switzerland for the European Championship qualifiers, and also scored 7 goals for FC Basel in the Europa Conference League. This player in the Championship, I beg he stays because it'll be a lot of fun. Wout Weghorst started for Manchester United at the Nou Camp 2 years ago. However, for you guys, the neutrals, would you find this boring? I'm sure many will. I'm sure I felt that same way when you saw Norwich go up and down consistently. And the conversation about, of course, parachute payments will be needed to be had. Because selling a player for £30 million is just ridiculous for the Championship, and it goes a long way. Burnley have brought in some players, Sambo, who's a PSV Dutch right back, Lucas Perez, a Brazilian from Santos. Yes, I've just said that we've signed a Brazilian from Santos, and we've signed Ronaldinho's son. I don't think he's there to be an actual senior player for the first team. He's just an academy prospect. For some, maybe just be seen as a bit of a marketing strat, maybe, but I don't care. Ronaldinho's son is at Burnley. No one can take that away from me. That is stupid. Hutonji, who's a striker from France, and Hladky, who started every game for Ipswich last season, who of course got promoted. Scott Parker, by all means, is probably not a Burnley manager that you'd like to think, looking back to the Sean Dyche era, but clearly we are a different club to what you used to. And the idea of us getting promoted and then going to go live through the Premier League again does terrify me, and every single year the teams that still remain, like the likes of Brighton, Bournemouth, Fulham, Forest, still get more money and strengthen even more. I do worry that in 5 years' time there will be so much of a gap that the standard clubs to then the kind of yo-yo clubs to then the standard Premier League clubs. I just worry that the gap between every level is getting further and further apart financially, that without a massive collapse of the boardroom, I can't see much changing in that regards. But I will enjoy the season no matter what, especially with absolutely no VAR. But hey, Burnley are top of the league again, and let's see how long this lasts. It could be a long time, could be a short time, Either way, thank God I'm not in the Premier League. Enjoy your day, boys.